I mean, you're out there on your own, man, just digging fire lines. So that's kind of how I found it. I'm always looking for the next challenge. I'm never satisfied with, oh, I did that. Like, I became a SEAL. I was an Air Force guy. I became a SEAL. I went to Ranger School. I tried out for Delta Force twice. I'm always looking for what is next, looking for those uncommon men and women, uncommon people, because I'm trying to grow. I'm trying to grow. And a lot of times, you don't want to be the only person that's making yourself grow. You're looking for those Cameron Haneses, those Joe Rogans, those people who are like just different. People who understand what the fuck you're saying, because a lot of things I have to say, I can't say them all. You may not understand them. So I had to really find a way to communicate with people so they don't think, oh my God, like, what did you just say? So these Cameron Haneses, these Joe Rogan, these people get it. So I go in those little nucleus spots, get a little more strength, get a little more knowledge, get a little more tools. Take those tools with me, put them in my tool shed, and I go off down the road on a new journey.
So many people want to project their idea of what they think your life should be like onto you. And it's just completely irrelevant. It just doesn't matter. Like if I weren't married, right? Because people are like, okay, well, he is married and like I am in shape, but I also just like working out. But if I didn't have either of those things and all I did was work all day, more people would talk about the work-life balance thing for me than they currently do. And who cares? I fundamentally am like, you are gonna die and you're not gonna matter, and I'm gonna die and I'm not gonna matter. So why do I care about what you're gonna say when you're not even gonna show up to my funeral? Who gives a shit?
The sum of all things leading up into that point, I think it's all the doubt. It's the imposter syndrome. It's the blessings that you can't really accept fully. And you listen to other people speak who are successful, or you see examples that you kind of feel connected to, like, man, that kind of feels like me. Or what he just said or what she just said, I resonate with that. I feel like that sometimes, other people who are looking at you saying, no, Mike, this is what you have. This is what you can be. This is what you are. Nah, that can't. No, that's too good. No, that ain't me. Your own presence in a situation where you have to step back and look at yourself and be like, am I this guy right now? Like, oh man, there's a room full of people who showed up because of something I'm doing, and they're in service or in support of my idea, my thing. Okay, that looks and feels like I'm the guy. Okay. I'm in the industry where, you're the success of your work and your art.
And hard work and dedication and never missing a day. The only shortcut to life is to never miss a day. One, because of compounding interest. And two, because sometimes you get lucky. And you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day. If you don't try every day, you might miss your lucky day. And that's what people don't understand. If you never miss a day and you never don't try and you're always on time, was I late today? No, on time, and you try and improve every aspect of your life, and you're a professional, and you try and make sure that you analyze your decisions, you give yourself feedback, you don't make mistakes, you're not lazy. If you try and you make it to the top, you end up elitist, because you look at the people down below and you're like, well, why didn't you try?
If every time someone asks you a question, you try to say the right answer, your entire life is a test. And when did you have the most anxiety in grammar school and high school?
No question.
On test day.
No question.
So your entire life become this test. I ain't trying to say the right answer. I am just doing what I feel. My mama said trying is failing. There is no ifs, woulds, coulds, shoulds. It just is, and we just are.
Also an understanding that you can't listen to people. Because even my parents didn't want me to do martial arts. They didn't want me to fight. They didn't want me to do stand-up. There's you have to understand who you are, and then in the face of other people's either criticism or lack of faith in your ability to succeed, you push through, and there's great benefit in that. And then you realize that you can kind of apply that to other things in life. You can apply that to critics, you can apply that to social media commentators, you can apply that to a lot of things.
You do have an indefinite responsibility, and you do have an indefinite capacity to bear that responsibility, but that doesn't mean it can't be crushing. And then I would say the antidote to that is that you're not in this alone. As your responsibilities mount and your opportunities increase, you have to delegate more and more. There's enough for it's important that you do everything you can, but there's enough for everyone to do. And so you might say, well, the heroic path is one that leads to universal redemption, and that's true. And you might say, well, that's all on you. It's like, it is in a sense, but then the problem that you just described comes up.
Shouldering too much burden.
Well, it can crush you. It can be unsustainable, right? You can torture yourself for not doing it well enough. And it is up to you, but it's not up to you alone. It's not up to you alone. So you delegate, and you help build people around you so that they're all working in the same direction. It's an effort multiplier in any case, and you make sure that they get credit. They get credit. Credit's good enough. It's not exactly right. The rewards are in accordance with their efforts.
You know, the one gift I have, with all that being said, what you just said there, is I have the ability to see the end before the beginning even begins. And what that means is I know that to get to the very end, I can see it right now. So before I went to Buds, and I was losing all this fucking weight and shit, I saw myself walking across the fucking stage at 191 fucking pounds, 'cause that's what I had to get to get into the door. I saw myself 6 months, a year later, whatever's gonna take me to do it, I saw myself walking across that stage, getting that fucking certificate of graduation from Buds. And I was able to be there at 300 fucking pounds. And that feeling, that I was nowhere near that fucking feeling, I was able to put myself there 1,000,000 times every fucking day. And that feeling of like, my God, that is gonna feel fucking amazing. That's what made me suffer. That's what allowed the pain to be real and say, this is worth it. I want to feel for this fucking next 18 months. It took me 18 fucking months to finally become a Navy SEAL, to finally, just get through Buds. 18 months, it's 6 months. It took me 18. That's what woke me up every fucking morning, was I'm gonna put myself through this much fucking pain and suffering for a few seconds. That's all it is. A few seconds of joy. And it's so fucking worth it, man. That's what people don't get. So I'm able to put myself at the finish line, even though I have no finish line, but at the finish line of an event before I even start the motherfucker, to say, how are you gonna feel at the end of this?
You had a great quote that said, rest at the end, not in the middle. And that's something I always live by. I'm not gonna rest, and I'm gonna keep on pushing now. There are a lot of answers that I don't have, even questions that I don't have. But I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going, and I'll figure these things out as we go, right? And you just continue to build that way. So I try to live by that all the time.
Rest at the end.
Rest at the end.
4:45 in the morning right now. I've been up all night working on the computer, preparing for an opportunity I've been blessed with. An opportunity that could be a game changer in my life. An opportunity I don't want to watch go by. So I'm giving it all I have, leaving it all on the table. So no matter what happens, I can never wonder what if. I can never let regret set in, saying I should have pushed it even more. I'm giving everything I have, leaving nothing to spare. That's all you can do in life.
It's very hard to be useful. Very hard. Are you contributing more than you consume? Can you try to have a positive net contribution to society? I think that's the thing to aim for. Not to try to be sort of a leader for the sake of being a leader or whatever. A lot of the time, the people you want as leaders are the people who don't want to be leaders. So, if you can live a useful life, that is a good life. A life worth having lived.
They think it's a permanent fix. They think it's something that is a constant. They think that maybe once I get it, I'm gonna hold on to it. And that's the thing about that I was telling you, that I always talk about. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is permanent. And a lot of times you have to learn to perform without motivation. You have to learn to perform without purpose. You have to learn to perform a lot of different things. And that's what people think. They think I need to have this motivation to work out, to study, to be better. So if they don't have it, they just don't fucking do it. And that's where you fail. You have to learn to train your mind well beyond motivation. If you have motivation, that's great. That's some kindling to the fire. All it takes is a little bit of fucking spark, you can burn the whole forest up. But motivation, you have to learn to exist without it. You have to learn to be, you have to be your best self when you're least motivated. And that's the tricky part about all that shit. Motivation is just a word. You have to have these different things in your mind on where you want to go and know that motivation is not going to get me there. Because I'm not going to always be motivated. The mind always has the tactical advantage over you. Why is that? It knows your fears. It knows your insecurities. It knows where they're hiding.
Can't hide.
You can't hide from that motherfucker, man. That motherfucker has a tactical advantage on you, son. That's going to get you, man.
You ain't gonna believe this. Well, you used to fit right here. I'd hold you up and say to your mother, this kid's gonna be the best kid in the world. This kid's gonna be somebody better than anybody ever knew. And you grew up good and wonderful. It was great just watching you every day. It was like a privilege. Then the time come for you to be your own man and take on the world, and you did. But somewhere along the line, you changed. You stopped being you. You let people stick a finger in your face and tell you you're no good. And when things got hard, you started looking for something to blame, like a big shadow. Let me tell you something you already know. The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, now go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
I'm tired of being poor. I was just exhausted. My mother was poor, my father was poor, my brothers and sisters were poor. All my friends were poor, all my relatives were poor. I lived in a poor neighborhood, we lived in a poor house. I was just like, wow, man, I watch TV. And I would see, like at Christmas time, my father would put us in the car and take us out to the suburbs to see the Christmas lights. And I would see these big houses, man, with lights all on them, and they had horseshoe driveways where you just pull in and go all the way around. That was amazing to me. You know, we would pull up in the driveway, got a back out. You know, I've been doing that, and I kept saying, I told my father, I said, Dad, I said, why don't we get one of these houses? He said, boy, I ain't got no money for this kind of house. He said, but if you work hard, keep going to church like your mama say, you can make some money, you can buy you one of these houses. That was it. My motivation was to buy a big house so I could put up Christmas lights and drive in the driveway. And I'll tell you something, every home I have, every house I've ever owned or built, you got to pull in one way and drive all the way around to come out there. I have never built, lived, or owned a home that did not have that driveway with gates on both sides. Never. That was the biggest motivating. So my advice is you have to find a dream that's so big that it overwhelms all of your fears and causes you to never give up. Now you're gonna think about quitting no matter what you do. I mean, I've thought about it many times, but I always just kept thinking about that house. And I've always dreamed of buying my mother and father a real house. And you know, and before they died, I was able to do all of that. Bought them houses.
Did you know that you were gonna be a superstar your whole life? Did you have that feeling like
Never.
No.
Never. I will be false if I say yes. In the beginning, when you start, you always have that passion to enjoy yourself, to spend time with friends, and to have fun. But in the beginning, not even with 14, 15, 16 years old, I didn't feel that. Maybe after that, with 18, 19s, 20s, yes, I start to feel everything was.
Nothing is given, everything is earned. And for things to be earned correctly, you know, you have to surround yourself with people that you can not only earn with, but that will support and embrace along the way, right? I have an amazing team. I hope that my team grows to be the stars of tomorrow. From execs to creatives to talent to writers, producers, directors, everybody that's underneath this umbrella of Heartbeat Ventures, of the brands and the brand partnerships and the space of entertainment and this ecosystem within media that we've created. We flourish because they flourish. And knowing that, identifying that, and trying my best to support that, that's the thing that I have had to work on. And when we talk about monsters, Jay, there was a I monster.
Yeah.
There was a I need to do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the call.
Me first.
No. Everybody move. Watch out. I'm gonna show y'all how to do it. I'm gonna take the meeting. Here, we're not listening to that. We're gonna do it my way. There was this heavy thing of me, I. Get out the way, Kevin. Get out the way and let other people be great. They're only going to make this thing greater. You're prohibiting that by trying to stand in a moment of great so that people can look and point at you. Let other people do the thing that they were brought here to do. And while they do it, align yourself with them, embrace them, support them. And as they grow.
So let's start with ignorance. So I am not a moralist, but if I were a moralist, then I would say that ignorance is the only evil and therefore knowledge is the only good. And so most atrocities, if we define them that way, that humans inflict on one another comes from ignorance. We don't know something about the other person or the other party. And if we had absolute context on why someone does what they do, if we lived their life, then we would have absolute knowledge on it, and then we would be them. And so then we probably wouldn't try to hurt them because we would be them. And so I see the pursuit of knowledge and its corollary, how I like it, the pursuit of learning, changing our behavior, to be my ultimate purpose in life. Because if I think about myself as going through life, then I want to learn as much as I can, which is changing my behavior, ideally suited to the direction that I want to go in.
Yeah, like, you know, you're out running on a track, working out, and you start talking to yourself saying, man, my knee is really sore right now. Maybe I'm doing too much.
Sounds like me.
Maybe I need to back off, you know. Man, my lungs are burning. Maybe I can just slow down here. I'll do like an extra 2 sets tomorrow. You know, it'll be okay.
Yeah.
Right? That sort of stuff.
Yes.
Like that stuff's dangerous.
Yes.
And that's when you just gotta say, you know what? I'm not negotiating with myself.
Yeah.
The deal was already made. Deal was made. When I set out at the beginning of the summer and said, this is the training plan I'm doing, I signed that contract with myself, I'm doing it. You know, throughout that process, you'll start talking to yourself like, man, I think I need to, maybe if we.
Rest at the end, not in the middle. Rest at the end, not in the middle. So to me, life and winning is a bunch of sprints within a marathon. You know?
That's a fact.
Yeah, a bunch of sprints within a marathon. And you can't see the end line. Like in a marathon, you know where the end line is. In winning, that race may have an end line, but there's another start line right after it.
Yeah.
And for people that are really driven, and this is not about money, and this isn't about fame. This is about, you could be winning as a school teacher, you could be winning as an entrepreneur, you could be winning in business, you could be winning as an athlete, as a waiter, whatever it is, a waitress, whatever it is. It's that every single time you sprint to that finish line, there's another start line that's coming. And that's why it never ends. It's a marathon that just keeps going, and going.